Hi, my name is Claude Kershner, and today I'm going to talk about a subject matter that has deeply transformed my life. And I credit a lot of the content and the ideas, and certainly the passion for this conversation, to a gentleman named Dr. Michael Morse. He took me on a trip to South Africa in 2010 for 8 or 9 weeks. This was during the World Cup, by the way. And the trip was called Entrepreneurship and Empowerment in South Africa. And I saw some of the most phenomenal people that I've ever met do more with less resources than I've ever seen. And it was some of the business acumen that I was able to develop through my undergrad education and certainly my graduate education that I could apply in these situations for some of these businesses and just watch them go, watch them think, and watch them produce in ways I've never seen before. And I saw the empowering nature of entrepreneurship. So my proposition today is everybody can be an entrepreneur. Everybody can develop a way of thinking and acting entrepreneurially. And that's what I hope to convince you of. Some of you are already convinced, by the way. So George Bernard Shaw said, the reasonable man or woman adapts himself or herself to the world. The unreasonable man or woman persists in adapting the world to himself or herself. Therefore, all progress depends on unreasonable men or women. So tomorrow is my wife's birthday, and I have to work tomorrow. But today, there's an idea that we had to go out to lunch together. And she works full time. I work full time. We have 3 kids. And I want to honor my wife on her birthday. But unfortunately, I'm confined by some of the resources that I have. So what am I going to do? Well, I have a $50 gift card to Longhorn Steakhouse. And I'm going to go into my closet with my existing clothes. I thought about renting a tuxedo, but that's too much money. And I'm going to pick out a nice tie, a shirt. I'm going to wear a sports jacket. And I'm going to go to the local flower shop and I'm going to pick up the most beautiful bouquet of flowers that I can possibly carry within the budget. And I'm going to drive to my wife's work. I'm going to walk into her office and I'm going to present her with the flowers in front of her coworkers, dressed nicely, give her a big hug and kiss, and say, let's go on a date. And then when we leave, we're not going to take the same car that I drove over in, because we're going to Uber with Uber Luxury SUV to go about a mile down the road to Longhorn Steakhouse, of which I have a $50 gift card. So my proposition is that we can have an experience with the Uber, with the flowers, with dressing as nice as I possibly can, with very limited resources that my wife will remember forever, if I just take some time to think unreasonably. There's a man named, I'm not going to tell you his name, but he was going to a college, University of Texas, and he was in his dorm room and he was thinking about a way to enter an industry called the computer industry. And in the computer industry at the time, most people thought that the hardware was a commodity. You can't make money in the hardware, you have to make money in the software. And he said, no, I'm going to make money in the hardware. In addition to that, there's a general business concept that if you standardize things, your costs go way down. You just make sure it's the same all the time, product, service, do it as standard as possible. You decrease your cost. When you customize things, it tends to cost more money. But he said, not only am I going to make money in the hardware business where other people think it's a commodity, I'm going to customize it for the customer and I'm going to charge less money. In addition to that, he wanted to not use any existing distribution channels, which doesn't make any sense because the distribution channels and partnering with distributors, they already have this set up. All you do is enter into a contract with them, which costs money, and you get your product off to the consumer. He said, no, I'm going to deliver it directly to the customer and we're going to do that ourselves. This man, his name is Michael Dell, and Dell Computers is a excess of $80 billion company. So it's not about, first of all, that's thinking and acting unreasonably. But it's not about what he did or his gifts or the way in which he went about it. It's really about the reality that a college student in a dorm room, and at the time IBM was dominating that industry, he revolutionized an industry competing against people like IBM. And now where's IBM? IBM doesn't make money in the hardware. Dell Computers still does. So that's the moral of the story, is if a college student in a dorm can compete in that fashion, you can too. That's thinking and acting unreasonable. 5.1 million new ventures in 2022 in the United States. We're at the beginning. I mean, the beginning happened probably 10 years ago, but we are in the midst of an entrepreneurial revolution. It's unbelievable the amount of startups and the access to capital and the ability to start a business. It's easier than ever, and you take less risk than you have in the past. The environment to create new companies, to generate new ideas, is incredible. The rate of startups is an all-time high. Innovation has exploded. 85% of new jobs, there's an election happening now. And when people talk about the economy, what they're missing at times is the reality that 85% of new jobs come from new companies, entrepreneurial endeavors. When you think about gross domestic product and PMI, it's about output, it's about production in our economy. We can't change production unless we do things differently. And entrepreneurs are the future. They're the ones that are going to do things differently so that we can produce more. It's an entrepreneurial economy. And I love the people, and we need the people, and their jobs matter in government and big business. But that ain't the future. The future is entrepreneurial. The future is entrepreneurship. New patents, rate of wealth creation. Women and minorities are now leading the pack in entrepreneurial endeavors, in new business creation. There's a glaring fact that I always talk to my students about, and I survey my own students. And the question is 10, 15, 20 years ago, when a student was in the classroom and you ask them, what do you want to do when you graduate from college? What do you want to do one day? They'd say, I want to get a good job with a great company, and that will employ me for 40 years. And there are no jobs out there like that anymore. So what do they want to do? And they're smart enough to say, I want to start my own business one day. 70% of them say they want to start their own business. I'm teaching right now at Everglades Correctional Institution. And if you want to talk about people thinking unreasonably within certain circumstances, and we can go on and on about, Nelson Mandela and other folks who have had next to no resources, but still doing things creatively. Let's talk about some of the students in the prison. All of them are going to get out of prison within the next 5 years. So they all have to think about, what am I going to do when I get out? A reasonable person might say, I'll look for a job. But the truth is those jobs may not be available to them, and they're going to have to do something different. So every single one of them right now who are pursuing a bachelor's degree while they're in prison, which is incredible, not only will they get a degree, but while they're getting the degree, they're plotting and planning a business idea, a business plan. They're working towards the sustainable development goals. They're generating notoriety and credibility now while they're in prison. The thought process is unreasonable. One of the gentlemen is writing a book called How I Became an Octopus. And I said, wow, that's a fascinating title. Tell me more. He said that prior to getting incarcerated, he was an electrician and he loved what he did. And during his time of incarceration, he just mastered some of the electrical engineering components. And with that, he intends on teaching and mentoring and beginning the process of growing a electrician education company. And he's talking about the metaphor of being an octopus. And he's all about giving back some of the knowledge that he currently has because of his excess time of studying and applying engineering concepts. I thought the book was an amazing idea. He's thinking unreasonably. So the revolution, it's an age of omnipresent entrepreneurship. More choices, more innovation, more technology advances, more change, more opportunity, more possibilities. Artificial intelligence, the gig economy, it's here. There's things we can do with it right now. If you're thinking about starting a business, that's great. In your existing company, you can act entrepreneurially with projects, with innovations. Doing things differently is going to be a part of our everyday conversation. Entrepreneurs are the heroes. They make the world livable for everyone else. They are the ones who question, who challenge. They are the ones who take responsibility for change. Again, you don't need to be a business owner to be an entrepreneur. You can think and act entrepreneurially. It's about a mindset. It's about looking at the resources you have and exploiting the opportunities around you. Think about the story of my date with my wife. Think about the story of the people in the prison. Is that man that I told you about that's writing the book, is he an entrepreneur? If you say no, I will challenge you on that. He is thinking and acting more entrepreneurially than some current business owners out there right now. That's an entrepreneur right there. They are the ones who take responsibility for change. They are what the human spirit is all about. They are the hope for a better life, for the end of poverty, for the destruction of discrimination. So a lot of people have, like I have, homeless people in my community. And there's a lot of very well-intentioned people who go out and try to help homeless people. But are they going to solve the problem? It's a Band-Aid on the problem. Entrepreneurs and thinking differently about the problem of homelessness is the way the homelessness is going to get solved. We're going to end homelessness by doing things differently, by thinking differently, by acting in an unreasonable fashion. They're the quiet revolutionaries. For entrepreneurship is the most empowering, the most democratic, the most freedom-creating phenomenon in the history of the human race. Empowerment means to create your own job, to create your own future, to create your own wealth, to create your own sense of pride and self-worth, to create your own identity, to create your own facilities and operations, to create jobs for others, to create your own contributions to the world, to create and own our ability to give back to others. Entrepreneurs are transforming markets, business practices, industries, oneself, family, communities, and economy. In essence, the question is, when you begin an entrepreneurial idea, project, initiative, venture, do you change that venture, or does that venture and that process change you? It's a emergent and dyadic process. It's a positive feedback loop. As the business is changing and growing and innovating, so are you. That's the power of entrepreneurship. When I see some of my students discover an opportunity, they look around and they say, wow, I think I can do something there. I think I can make money. I think I can make a difference there. Their learning is exponential. And when they start walking down that corridor and opening up different doors, they change. And the change is not just temporary, it's transformative. Entrepreneurship is transformation. The at-risk person, this is my proposition. The at-risk person, if you're sitting in this chair today, you say, no, this isn't for me. I'm just going to be an employee. I'm just going to work on the projects that I'm meant to be working on. And I have no interest in this age of entrepreneurship. The at-risk person is the person that is not prepared for the entrepreneurial age. That's my proposition. The mindset, it's a way of thinking, leveraging resources. It's a way of acting like a guerrilla, doing guerrilla warfare type tactics to get the things that you need. There's a story about a restaurant in town, and the restaurant was opening. And unfortunately, this entrepreneur put so much money and resources and effort, all of his money, into opening the restaurant, the chairs, the food, hiring staff. So he ran out of money to market the restaurant for its opening. So what did he think? Did he say, you know what, let's just not open the restaurant, close our doors and walk away because nobody's going to come? No. He acted and thought entrepreneurially. So he went to every hairdresser in town, every hair salon, and he invited every hairdresser to an opening party at his restaurant. Free food, free booze, come on by. It's just you. Here's an exclusive VIP pass. And he had 50 to 100 hairdressers from a 20-mile radius come to his opening party. What do hairdressers do when they sit in the chair and cut, say, 10, 15 different people's hair during the day? They talk. So what are they talking about the next day? They're talking about this new restaurant in town and how you have to go to this restaurant and they have fabulous food and the owner is really nice. That is thinking and acting entrepreneurially. It's lots of different professional contexts you can do this in, but also a way of approaching personal issues, family life, community involvement, etc. We talked about that. So here is my ending thought. Entrepreneurship is not something you do. It's a philosophy that you bring to life. Thank you very much.